Eala no longer needs a wild card to enter the US Open. That is the real story. Her name is now inside the main draw through ranking alone. And if her position holds when the official seeds are announced, she could arrive in New York as one of the 32 protected players in the tournament. That would have sounded almost impossible only a few years ago. Back then, Alex was a promising teenager from the Philippines. She had talent, discipline, and won junior Grand Slam trophy. But she still needed the tennis world to notice her. Now the situation has completely changed. Alex is ranked number 29 in the world. She has defeated a defending Grand Slam champion on center court. She has reached the 4th round of Wimbledon. She has already made professional history at the US Open. She is no longer asking whether she belongs in the same field as Coco Gauff, Naomi Osaka, Iga Swiatek, and the biggest names in tennis. Her ranking has already answered that question. But earning a place in the draw creates a new problem. Alex will not return to New York as an unknown player. Opponents know her game. Coaches have studied her left-handed patterns. They know how early she takes the ball. They know she attacks second serves. They know she can redirect a rally before an opponent has time to recover. Fans also know her now. Filipino supporters will arrive with flags, chants, and enormous expectations. Casual tennis fans will remember the young woman who defeated Swiatek at Wimbledon. Tournament organizers will understand that every Alex Eala match can bring a completely new audience into the sport. That attention can lift a player. It can also make every mistake feel heavier. A few years ago, Alex was fighting to be recognized. Now she must prove that she can survive recognition. The US Open entry list confirms that she belongs in the tournament. It cannot tell us whether she is ready for the pressure that comes with belonging. It cannot guarantee a favorable first-round opponent. It cannot protect her from an established champion. It cannot promise that her Wimbledon success will immediately transfer from grass to the hard courts of New York. This is no longer a story about potential. It is a story about expectation. And to understand why this return matters so much, we have to go back to the first time New York showed Alex what her future could become. In 2022, Alex Eala arrived at the US Open as a 17-year-old junior. She was already respected inside serious tennis circles. She had trained in Spain at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She had developed a strong left-handed game. She had shown the discipline required to compete far from home. But most American sports fans had never heard her name. The Philippines had never produced a tennis player who carried this level of global expectation. Alex was not following an established path. She was trying to create one. Then she started winning in New York. She moved through the junior draw with control, patience, and an unusual ability to remain calm when matches became uncomfortable. She did not have the biggest serve in the tournament. She did not overpower every opponent. She won by seeing the court clearly. She took the ball early. She changed direction quickly. She understood when to defend and when to step forward. She rarely allowed one bad point to control the next. When the final ended, Alex became the first Filipina to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. For Philippine tennis, it was an historic moment. For Alex, it was the beginning of a much harder test. Junior success can reveal talent. It cannot guarantee professional survival. The professional tour is filled with players who won important junior titles but never reached the highest level. The transition demands more power, better recovery, stronger decision-making, and the ability to travel almost every week without losing confidence. A junior trophy cannot hold serve for you. It cannot protect a weak second serve. It cannot solve a difficult opponent. It cannot create ranking points after the celebration is over. Alex had to start again. The large stadiums became smaller courts. The trophy ceremony became another flight. The headlines became early round matches against experienced professionals who had no interest in becoming part of an inspiring story. Those players had stronger bodies. They understood how to make rallies physical. They knew how to expose the same weakness repeatedly until a young opponent lost patience. This was the part of the journey that casual fans rarely saw. Alex had to improve, while millions of people in the Philippines followed every result. Every ranking jump created celebration. Every early defeat created concern. Was the pressure arriving too soon? Could one young player carry the expectations of an entire country? Alex could not answer those questions with words. She needed results. She needed victories at smaller tournaments. She needed ranking points from difficult weeks that produced no international headlines. She needed to learn how to recover after losing and compete again in another city only days later. Most young players are allowed to develop quietly. Alex never had that luxury. When she won, she represented possibility. When she lost, people worried that the dream might disappear. The support was powerful. It could fill a court with energy and make a distant tournament feel like home. But support can become pressure when a player feels responsible for every hope placed on her shoulders. Alex had to learn that difference. She had to understand that representing the Philippines did not mean winning every match. It meant continuing to improve when nobody could guarantee what came next. There was no certainty that she would return to the US Open as a serious professional player. There was only work. That is why New York means more than another city on her schedule. It was the place where she first proved that a Filipina could win a Grand Slam title. It would later become the place where she proved that her junior success could survive at the professional level. That moment arrived in 2025. Alex entered the US Open women draw against Clara Tauson, the number 14 seed. Tauson had the higher ranking. She had more experience at the top level. She possessed the kind of power that could end points before Alex had time to build her preferred patterns. On paper, Alex was the underdog. Inside the stadium, the match felt different. Filipino flags appeared around the court. Fans called her name. Every important point carried more emotion than the score alone could explain. Alex won the first set, 6-3. She played with clarity. She took time away from Tauson. She refused to remain trapped behind the baseline. Then Tauson responded. The shots became deeper. The rallies became heavier. Alex lost the second set, 2-6. The match moved into a deciding set. This was where the old version of Alex might have become passive. She could have waited for Tauson to miss. She could have protected the ball and allowed the pressure to slow her decisions. Instead, Alex continued attacking. The set reached a tiebreak. Every point carried history. Alex stayed brave enough to trust the game that had brought her there. She completed the upset. 6-3, 2-6, 7-6. For the first time, a Filipina had reached the second round of the US Open women draw. The victory was emotional. It was important. It also created a new expectation almost immediately. In the first round, Alex had been the dangerous outsider. In the second round, many fans expected her to continue. That is a completely different form of pressure. Her next opponent was Cristina Bucha. Bucha did not give Alex the same emotional openings. She kept the ball deep. She made the match physical. She forced Alex to generate her own momentum instead of using the energy of an upset. Alex lost the first set, 4-6. She needed to reset. This time, the response never fully arrived. Bucha won the second set, 6-3. The run was over. There was no second week. There was no meeting with another superstar. There was no perfect ending. Alex had proved that she could defeat a seeded player under intense pressure. She had not yet proved that she could recover emotionally and produce the same level 2 days later. That was the real lesson of New York. One brilliant match can change the way people see a player. Only consistency can change a career. Alex had shown that her best tennis could trouble an established opponent. But the professional tour demands that level again and again. Can a player compete with courage when the crowd expects victory? Can she recover after the biggest moment of her career? Can she solve a completely different opponent after the emotion of an upset has disappeared? Those questions followed Alex after the US Open. Her ranking continued to rise. Her game continued to develop. But the higher she climbed, the more closely opponents prepared for her. The left-handed forehand was no longer a surprise. Coaches understood how early she wanted to take the ball. They studied her return position. They tested her second serve. They tried to push her away from the baseline and remove the time she needed to redirect rallies. Alex was no longer facing opponents who saw only a promising young player. They saw a threat. That was progress. It was also dangerous. Every breakthrough created more attention. Every ranking jump brought stronger opponents. Every victory made the next match more difficult. Alex had reached the stage where talent alone was no longer enough. She needed consistency, recovery, and the ability to win after everyone had already seen what made her dangerous. At the end of the 2025 US Open, the tennis world still had a fair question. Could Alex create another unforgettable upset? Probably. Could she build an entire Grand Slam run? That remained uncertain. Then Wimbledon changed the conversation. Alex entered Wimbledon in 2026 as the number 29 seed. That ranking showed that she had already built results across many months. She was not arriving on one wild week or one famous victory. But numbers on a ranking page can feel distant. Wimbledon turned those numbers into evidence. In the second round, Alex faced Maya Joint. The match began badly. Alex lost the first set, 3-6. Joint had momentum. Alex was under pressure. Another early Grand Slam exit was becoming possible. The most important change was not technical. Alex refused to allow the first set to define the rest of the match. She moved closer to the baseline. She took the ball earlier. She pushed joint deeper and created sharper angles before the rallies could become comfortable. Alex won the second set, 6-2. Then she dominated the deciding set, 6-0. That score revealed more than a comeback. It showed control. Alex had solved a difficult match while it was still happening. She did not need a lucky break or an emotional collapse from her opponent. She changed the conditions of the contest. That victory placed her on center court against Iga Swiatek. Swiatek was the defending Wimbledon champion. She was a multiple Grand Slam winner. She had spent years competing under pressure that could overwhelm almost any younger player. This was the kind of match where an underdog story often ends. Alex was expected to enjoy the experience, fight bravely, and accept the difference between potential and proven greatness. But Alex did not play like someone who was grateful simply to be there. The first set became a battle. Neither player could escape. The rallies grew longer. The pressure increased. Every service game began to feel like a separate contest. The set lasted 84 minutes. Long sets usually favored the experienced champion. The favorite has survived similar situations before. The younger player begins to recognize how close the opportunity has become. The arm tightens, the feet slow down. Safe decisions begin replacing brave ones. Alex did not shrink. She continued stepping forward. She attacked second serves. She changed direction before Swiatek could settle into control. She trusted her timing when caution would have felt easier. The set reached a tiebreak. One nervous decision could have changed the entire match. Alex won it, 7-6. The upset was suddenly real. The second set revealed something even more important. Alex did not become afraid of victory. Many underdogs play freely until they realize they might actually win. Then they begin protecting the lead instead of continuing to create it. Alex became more decisive. She refused to move backward. She continued taking the ball early. She continued forcing Swiatek to defend. She continued playing as though her decisions deserved to succeed. Swiatek searched for control. Alex never allowed her to find it. 6-2. Match over. The defending champion was out. Alex Eala was into the fourth round of Wimbledon. The victory was shocking. The way she produced it was more important. Alex did not wait for a champion to collapse. She created the pressure. She did not spend the match hoping to survive. She imposed her own game. That is the difference between a player searching for an upset and a player beginning to belong. For years, each Alex Eala breakthrough had been treated like a beautiful exception. The Junior U.S. Open title was surprising. The victory over Tauson was surprising. Her climb toward the top 30 was surprising. But Wimbledon forced people to consider another possibility. What if those moments were never separate accidents? What if they were evidence of the same development? Alex had recovered from losing the first set against Joint. She had dominated the next two sets. She had then defeated the defending champion in straight sets on the most famous court in tennis. That was not one lucky night. It was a pattern. Her next match made the argument stronger, even though she lost. Alex faced Jasmine Paolini in the fourth round. Paolini won the first set, 6-4. Once again, Alex stood one set away from elimination. Once again, she responded. Alex won the second set, 6-4. She forced an established Grand Slam finalist into a deciding set. She made Paolini earn every step toward victory. Paolini eventually won the final set, 6-3. Alex left Wimbledon without a trophy. But the defeat did not erase the breakthrough. It completed it. The real test was never whether Alex could remain undefeated. No player can. The real test was whether her game could survive different opponents, difficult starts, changing momentum, and the emotional pressure of a deep Grand Slam run. At Wimbledon, it did. Alex had recovered when matches moved away from her. She had competed under the lights of center court. She had defeated the defending champion. She had returned after losing first sets. She had pushed another elite opponent deep into a deciding match. For the first time, Alex had not simply created one major upset. She had built a complete Grand Slam run. That is why her return to the U.S. Open feels different. She is not coming back with only a junior trophy and a dream. She is not returning with only one professional upset in New York. She is arriving after proving that her game can survive several rounds against several kinds of pressure. Now look at what her ranking represents. Alex stands at number 29 in the world. That position was not created by one victory over Swiatek. Rankings reward accumulation. A player must win across different cities, different surfaces, and different conditions. She must collect points during weeks that most fans will never remember. One famous tournament can create attention. It cannot build a top 30 ranking alone. That is why number 29 matters. It reflects the quiet victories beneath the famous ones. It reflects matches where Alex had to win without a huge Filipino crowd. It reflects weeks when her best tennis did not appear immediately. It reflects the ability to recover, travel, adjust, and compete again. Those results earned her direct entry into the US Open. She does not need a special invitation. She does not need tournament officials to reward her potential. Her position in the rankings has already opened the door. That changes the emotional meaning of New York. In 2022, the city welcomed a gifted junior. In 2025, it witnessed a dangerous underdog create history. In 2026, it is preparing to receive a top 30 professional. The first visit represented possibility. The second showed that Alex could produce a major professional upset. The third brings expectation. That may be the hardest stage of growth. A direct entry does not guarantee success. A top 30 ranking does not remove danger from the first round. The official seeds have not yet been announced, and rankings can still move before the tournament begins. But Alex is close enough for the conversation to be real. 1 year ago, fans were asking whether she could win a match at the US Open. Now they are discussing whether she could enter as a seeded player and which section of the draw she might receive. That is a major shift. The US Open is also presenting Alex differently. She has been included in Stars of the Open at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That event is designed to place champions and emerging names in front of the public before the main tournament begins. Alex is not being hidden on a small practice court. She is being introduced as one of the young players fans should watch. That does not award ranking points. It does not guarantee a successful tournament. But it sends a clear signal. Major tournaments understand attention. They know which players attract new audiences. They know which stories create energy beyond traditional tennis communities. They know which names can make people watch a match they would otherwise ignore. Alex brings a rare combination. She has the game to challenge elite opponents. She carries a deep emotional connection with Filipino fans around the world. She already has history in New York. She has defeated a defending champion at Wimbledon. And she is still young enough for each achievement to feel like the beginning of something larger. American fans can connect with her underdog journey. Filipino-American fans can see a player representing an identity that has rarely appeared at this level. Casual fans can remember the woman who eliminated Swiatek. Serious tennis fans can study her timing, her court position, and her ability to change direction early in rallies. Different audiences are arriving for different reasons. They are arriving at the same name, Alex Eala. Placing her beside Gauff, Osaka, and Swiatek does not mean she has matched their careers. Gauff has carried the pressure of becoming an American Grand Slam champion. Osaka has won major hardcourt titles and become a global figure. Swiatek has built dominance across several seasons. Alex is still chasing that level of achievement. But those players no longer exist in a distant competitive world. Alex is entering the same draw because she has earned the ranking required to stand there. A meeting with one of them would no longer feel impossible. That may be the most important change of all. Alex has already proved that she can defeat a superstar. Now she is becoming the kind of player who can face a superstar without the matchup feeling like a miracle. The shock is becoming smaller. The expectation is becoming larger. That is how a breakthrough begins turning into a career. But expectation changes everything. Alex will not receive the freedom of an unknown player in New York. Opponents will prepare carefully. They will study her serve. They will examine where she stands on returns. They will look for the pattern she uses when rallies become tense. They will try to move her away from the baseline. They will attack moments when her second serve becomes vulnerable. They will understand that allowing Alex to take the ball early can make the entire match move too quickly. Crowds will also arrive expecting drama. Every victory will increase belief. Every difficult set will create tension. Every early round opponent will understand that defeating Alex could silence one of the loudest supporter groups in the tournament. This is the price of becoming important. The US Open field confirms that Alex belongs. The next question is whether belonging will make her stronger or whether expectation will become the most difficult opponent of her career. She has already faced pressure in many forms. She carried the hope of the Philippines as a teenager. She faced a seeded opponent in New York. She played the defending champion on center court. She returned after losing first sets. She competed when millions of people expected history. Each experience taught her something. The pressure in 2026 will still feel different. For the first time, many people will not view a deep run as a fantasy. They will view it as a realistic possibility. That is both a compliment and a burden. Alex will not surprise everyone simply by appearing. She must surprise them with what she does next. That pressure is also a privilege. Only players who matter receive this level of attention. Only players who have created genuine belief are expected to produce another unforgettable run. For Philippine tennis, her return carries an even larger meaning. Young players can now see a path that once appeared impossible. They can watch someone from their country earn direct entry into a Grand Slam. They can see her compete beside global champions without asking for permission to belong. Alex is no longer collecting firsts only for herself. She is changing what the next generation believes is possible. That may become her greatest impact. Not one victory, not one ranking, not one tournament. A new expectation for what Philippine tennis can become. The US Open has confirmed her place in the field. Her ranking confirms that the rise was built across many months. Wimbledon confirmed that her game can defeat the very best. New York will now test whether she can do it again when the entire tennis world is prepared for her. The draw could place her near Goff. It could create a meeting with Osaka. It could place another established champion across the net in the opening rounds. Nothing has been decided. That uncertainty is exactly what makes this moment powerful. In 2022, Alex entered New York carrying potential. In 2025, she returned carrying hope. In 2026, she will arrive carrying expectation. Each version of Alex has been stronger than the one before. Each visit has demanded more from her. First, New York asked whether she had talent. Then it asked whether she could win at the professional level. Now it will ask whether she can remain among the strongest players in the world. That is the hardest question yet. Alex Eala is no longer chasing the chance to enter the conversation. She is already inside it. The next chapter begins when the draw is revealed and the first ball is struck. Subscribe and stay with us, because New York may be about to show us whether the greatest breakthrough in Philippine tennis is only beginning.